We are a two-party consent state band.
Good evening, Rockville. Today is February 3rd, 2025, and we'll begin meeting number 4-25. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I will note today is our Proclamations and Recognitions Day, and we're so excited that we are overflowed with folks in our chamber as well as out in the conference rooms. We're going to be acknowledging some student athletes who've been doing amazing work, and we will also be acknowledging several of our proclamations. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to please join us. Bear with us. There are a lot of people doing great things, and we're so excited to see so many Rockets and others across the city doing well. So it's definitely black and gold here in the chamber. Join me down below.
Got to show my black and gold. So we've got a couple of team championships we're going to celebrate today. First, we are here to celebrate the 2024 Maryland Girls Volleyball State Championships, the Richard Montgomery team. Now, I can tell you all, I went to a number of matches, including the quarterfinal match, and I can tell you it was interesting. On that particular day, there was actually your match, the quarterfinals match, and there was a Wooten football game. You guys dispatched that game so quickly that I was still able to make it to the first half of the Wooten game. That's how incredible they were. And for those of you who don't know, not only were they just incredible in winning the state championships, they did not lose a single match the entire season. So that alone deserves applause, because that achievement is fantastic. In addition to which, there was numerous accolades individually, both on a regional and state notation. I know Corrine did fantastic, making regional second team, and Emma making not only the regional first team, but also recently the Gatorade State Player of the Year. So fantastic. The accolades, tremendous. And for those of you who probably everyone in this room knows, this is actually the back-to-back championship. You guys were all here last year as well. So fantastic accolades, and I know, Coach, you've done an amazing job with this team. So fantastic job with your record with the state championship. Why don't you guys come on, because we're going to recognize my colleagues. Everybody here, we've been talking about it throughout your season, so we're all going to take part in the presentation. So why don't you guys come up, and so we can make sure that every one of you gets your recognition. And yeah, I think they're in order. So we've got a lot of recognition certificates. We're going to name everybody individual. Going and presenting it one by one is going to be a little tough, but everyone's going to take part in reading it. We're going to start with the coaches and then go to the players. So first, we have the person who needs no additional recognition, but Coach Gretchen Barber-Schrock. And then we have assistant coach, Jacob Atchin.
I'm the only coach representing.
Oh, the only coach representing. Okay.
Yes.
And is Daniel also the away? Is Daniel
He's
here?
not here, but Ms. Dini is here.
Oh, okay. You can take for all the coaches, and we'll recognize them. Just notation: Jacob Atchin, Wes Carver, Rebecca Garanges, and Daniel Whitlow II. Yeah, you can take for all of them. Mayor.
All right, where's our list here? I do want to acknowledge Principal Dini, thank you, and Coach, you guys are doing some magical things at RM. With that, I'll name some of the athletes that we want to, the managers and athletes we want to recognize. Maki Abram, you here?
All managers are also not.
Okay. Bella Brennan and Keontae Brinster. Coach, I'm going to give you all of these because they're not exactly in order. So how about that? All right. Next we have Councilmember Fulton.
All right. Moving on to our student athletes here. We're going to recognize Katie Chung. Sashesa Doti. Okay, no, I want to do it right. I want to say it right. Sasha Dote. And Anna Georgievic. That one I can do. Congratulations, guys.
All right. So now we do Emma Georgievic. Sorry. Giamar Esemen.
He's a manager.
Okay. And another manager, but still, Chloe Kennedy.
Okay, now we're going to recognize Ellen Kim, Corinne Howard, and Katie Mitchell.
Oh, I have one manager too, and I'm hoping one of these players are a defensive specialist because that's what I used to do. When you're 5'4", that's all you do. Hadley Mongan. And we have student manager, Kiefer Morsley, and student athlete Alicia Nguyen. All right, there you go.
Okay, and we've got student athlete Carly Nunez. You're not here? All right, we'll start going down. Then we got student manager Cecilia Pele. Cecilia Pele, is she here? No, okay. How about Emma Sotomayor? Yeah, there we go. Mayor. Mayor. Yep.
All right. So next we're going to recognize Nate Weinstein. Jessica Yao, student athlete, and Amy Yee, student athlete.
Ladies and gentlemen, your state champion volleyball team. All right, guys, the easiest way is if we all pivot a little bit and look towards those two TVs.
Whoever can you go to the top? Okay. All right.
Thank you all.
Congratulations, you guys are
Thank you so
fantastic.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys, and underclassmen, we're going for 3 next year, right? Oh, yeah. All right, back to back to back. Back to back to back. No problem. You guys are the best.
I don't have to change hats.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely changing hats.
Hey, RM, check this out. Oh, wearing a Wooten hat there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm still wearing gold. I'm still wearing gold. All right, if the Wooten men's boys cross country team, I think they're out in the waiting room. You guys can come on in, including all family members and friends. What? All right, as we move from one state championship team to another. Oh, here they come. All right, as we move from one state championship team to another, we are now here, and we're lucky enough to recognize another state championship. And if you guys want to, you can just come straight up if you guys want. Yeah, come on. So we're here to recognize another state championships, and this one from the Wooten men's boys cross country team, which won the state championships. And for those who don't know, during this actual state championship, not only did they win regionals, but they came back to put 20 points ahead of the next place cross country team, which was an incredible performance. And their points would put them the winner of any state category in the championship. This was an absolute complete team effort from start to finish. Throughout the season, they were well, but they really kicked it at the end, towards the end of the season, and showed their mettle. So we're proud to recognize this team. And I can tell you, my son's actually a member of the indoor and outdoor track and field team at Wooten. So I know how much time you guys put in over at the track and up and down the hills between Wooten and Frost. So you guys clearly have the strength and the mettle and deserve incredible accolades. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big applause for the Wooten State Championship Boys Country Team. Now we're going to recognize you guys one by one. We've got certificates for all of you, and we're all going to take turns reading your guys' name and getting the applause. It looks like they're not fully in order, so we'll try to get to them, but we'll at least get it to your coach, and everybody can get it towards the end. So first, we're going to recognize the coach who needs no further recognition, but we're going to give it anyway. Head coach Kelly Redmond. Do we have it? Yes. This one's in order. And do we have the assistant coach, Regina Gretchel? There we go. And the athletic specialist, who I believe might be at the indoor track and field meet, is Alton Lightsey. You get there? Oh, come on up.
All right, moving on to some of our student athletes. First up, I have Adam Beckman. Adam, congrats. And next, Owen Berman. Congrats, Owen. And I have Brandon Dickerson. All right, congratulations, Brandon. Nice job.
Thank you so much. All right. Next, student athlete, Nathan Downey. Congratulations. Student athlete, Ellis Eppard. And Luke Gabriel.
Next, we have Brandon Keisner. David C. And Edward Sun.
Okay, next up we have Rendon Yerman. And Samuel Zinselmeyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Maryland State champions.
All right, we're all gonna huddle. Can some folks
And I think, is Dr. Bostic here? Come on up, come on up. Our fearless leader at Wooten. Good to see you. All right, and guys, we're looking over to the sides by the TV.
I will also just say thank you to all the parents. I know you did a lot of driving to get folks around, a lot of time watching these matches, so thank you.
Congrats, guys. Congrats. All right, good work.
I like your name.
No, thank you.
All right, we are moving on to the rest of our proclamations, maybe not quite as celebratory, but as important. I will tell you all that I did, in fact, try to wear red today for American Heart Month. I do not own a single item of clothing that is red. I got to fix that, but I did the best I could. So, whereas during American Heart Month, we recommit to fighting heart disease by promoting better health, wellness, and prevention awareness in our communities. And whereas heart disease continues to be a leading cause of death in the United States, it affects Americans of all genders, races, and ethnicities. And now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of Rockville, Maryland, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2024 American Heart Month and encourage the community to engage and to keep up to date on news and activities that will benefit the health and well-being of our families. I move the proclamation.
Do we have a second? Second. Councilmember Valeri seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous.
All right, thank you all. I don't think we have a recipient.
All right. So I have the honor of presenting this proclamation for rare diseases. Before I begin, just a note of praise out to all the researchers out there who are going through an uncertain time. I know there's some in Rockville and more around the area. At NIH, NCI, CDC, and on down the line, from cancer to COVID to rare diseases, the work you do saves lives, and I just want to say thank you. You are seen and you're appreciated. Now, whereas there are nearly 10,000 rare diseases and conditions considered rare, each affecting fewer than 200,000 Americans in the United States, according to the National Institutes of Health, NIH, and whereas Rare Diseases Day is the opportunity to advocate for disease care as a human rights priority at local, national, and international levels. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of Rockville do hereby proclaim February 28th, 2025 as Rare Diseases Day and encourage the Rockville community to learn more about rare diseases through resources such as the National Organization for Rare Disorders, NORD. Oh, and I moved the proclamation, sorry.
Councilmember Bolton seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Do we have anybody to? All right.
That's today.
There you go.
Next, we are going to be discussing and honoring Black History Month. It's a time that I'm usually very excited and don't have the heaviness in my heart that I see today. To me, it was particularly important to recognize Black History Month as organizations across the country are being told not to. Black history is American history. You can't take away one without the other. You can't. We also see the removal of a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I know I stand with my colleagues in saying, in Rockville, we're going all in. Inclusion is about welcoming all people, whether that means you're a senior, someone with a disability, someone who's been historically underrepresented. We all matter here in Rockville. And I'm saddened to have this kind of focus because there's so much to celebrate. Resilience, character, innovation. And it is part of our history, and we will not stop talking about it. So we must stand firm in recognizing that Black history is American history. It's woven into our nation's progress. It is why our nation is where we are today. In Maryland, there are many trailblazers. We go back to Frederick Douglass, who escaped slavery to become one of the most powerful voices of abolition and human rights, to Thurgood Marshall, who led a case here in Rockville that changed the course for how teachers are paid, to the Underground Railroad that runs through our state, and recognizing Harriet Tubman. It's not just history, there are living leaders today. First Black governor of Maryland, and many more. Senator Alsa Brooks. We will maintain a nonpartisan nature, and to me, diversity, equity, inclusion in Black history is a nonpartisan issue. With that, I will read the proclamation. Whereas in 1976, Black History Month, also known as African American History Month, was formally adopted to honor and affirm the importance of African American history, and the theme for 2025 is African Americans and labor. Whereas because of determination, hard work, intelligence, perseverance, African Americans have made valuable and lasting contributions to the city of Rockville and to our country, achieving success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, science, and the arts. We are proud of our heroes, our pioneers, from Dr. King to Jesse Owens to Thurgood Marshall to Dr. Mae Jennison. The list goes on. Their achievements have contributed to the American promise, enriching our lives and serving as models for leadership. We are especially proud of our first African-American governor, Wes Moore, and our first African-American senator, Angela Alsa Brooks. And whereas the 67th Mayor and Council of Rockville is the most diverse council in history, and included are the first BIPOC female mayor and council. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of Rockville do hereby proclaim the month of February 2025 to be African American History Month, and encourage the Rockville community to learn, to share stories, to recognize and appreciate the many contributions made by African Americans throughout this region, and to participate in the many educational events honoring contributions of African Americans throughout the month. Will someone please move the proclamation?
I move the proclamation.
Councilmember Shaw moves the proclamation. Do we have a second? Second. Councilmember Van Grack seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. With that, it is my great honor. I see some members from the community. I'm going to say all who want to come up. I do want to also recognize Montgomery County Branch President of the NAACP, Linda Plummer, if you would please come up, and also welcome members of the Gaithersburg Rockville Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. Welcome up. Thank you. This one's for you.
Good evening. I am Linda Plummer, President of the Montgomery County branch of the NAACP. On behalf of this great branch, I am honored to accept this proclamation observing Black History Month 2025. The NAACP has been involved in the struggle to achieve diversity, equality, and inclusion since 1909, when it was founded by a group of Black and white activists in response to racial violence and discrimination. They recognized that Black history was an integral part of the American history. Now, in 2025, we have reached a pivotal point in saving our democracy by separating the many and varied contributions that Black Americans have made to this country from being a part of the history of the country. It has become a way for it to be erased and not to be taught in our schools nationwide. If we are going to bring people together so that talents can be recognized and encouraged to contribute to the unity of the community, history cannot be revised. History is factual and predicts the future. I congratulate Rockville on the leadership it has assumed in encouraging justice. The NACP encourages you to join us in positively shaping the world that our children will witness, inherit, and lead. Black history is indeed American history. It is interchangeable and entwined. Again, I accept this proclamation on behalf of all those who labor in the vineyards in this movement to acquire justice. And I stand on the shoulders of the great leaders in this county whom I have earned this seat. Thank you so much, and good evening.
Good evening. I'm thrilled to receive this honor. Our fraternity was founded in 1911 at Indiana University. Our founders felt that we needed to have an organization to help us to get education and to move forward with the students of color in the city as well as on campus. As you know, Indiana University is the home of the KKK. So we felt it very important to establish this organization and to bring forth our motto, progress in every human endeavor. We appreciate this, and we will still be here on our chapter in Gaithersburg, Rockville, alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, to work in the community, not only to feed the hungry, but to give scholarships to our students, as well as help our veterans as well. So thank you, I appreciate this, and look forward to continuing service. I'll get in the back, I'm too tall.
So we will reconvene at 6:30, our mayor and council meeting. This is a special presentation for our certificates and recognition. I want to thank all the leaders who have come out. We will continue to recognize underrepresented populations and our celebrations of greatness. So thank you for joining with us. We'll see you back at 6:30. Good evening, Rockville. Welcome back. Today is February 3rd, 2025, and we'll reconvene meeting 4-25, and we'll begin with agenda review.
Madam Mayor and council members, there has been updates and changes to our agenda for this evening. Item number 8, which is the Vision Zero update, has a new attachment, and that has been updated with the Q&A and responses from staff. And number 9 has been added, a consent agenda item, a resolution for approval this evening.
Thank you very much. And I believe the Vision Zero Q&A you said, correct? Perfect.
Correct.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Mihalik, City Manager's report.
Mayor Ashton, members of City Council, good evening. I have 3 items tonight. The third one, if it's okay, I'm going to linger on just a little bit since we have some time tonight. So first of all, as I think you all know, but I'd like to announce to the community that we are making good progress regarding the King Farm Farmstead Master Plan. The next big step in the process is to do some rich, deep community engagement. I would encourage people to go on to Engage Rockville and look at the King Farm Farmstead. People can learn about the history of the property, what's been considered thus far, but most importantly, to take a survey to share with the council what they would like to see developed on the property in the future. In addition, we have a series of meetings that are going to be scheduled to gain additional input from residents on the master plan, and we'd encourage people to attend that as well. Again, everything regarding that project and how people can get involved is on the city's website. Secondly, I'm learning that the Rockville summer camps are extremely popular in the community. So I'm giving everybody a heads up notice that the camp guide is available right now. It's online. We would strongly encourage people to go in there, check out the programs. They can't really declare dibs, but they should at least figure out which ones they want because registration begins on February 12th. And I've been told that those camps fill up really quickly. So we're excited to have those camps available to folks this summer. And then we started a new process regarding legislation. So I think the council knows and the community probably knows by now as well that the state legislature is working hard in Annapolis, and there's a bunch of new bills dropping. So we created a new team, which involves the city council, a number of staff, to take a pretty deep dive on some of these House bills to see if it's in alignment with the city's priorities or guiding principles, et cetera, and to see, how we want to react to them. So if it's okay, I'm going to give a quick update. There are 7 bills I want to mention and just let you know what those bills are and what our position is. One is House Bill 80. That expands the use of transit-oriented development in Maryland to add housing supply. On its face, that seems amazing. We've had really good direction from council to add more housing supply, also to take advantage of our metro stations and build those out. But the thing we're a little bit concerned about with this bill is that it could take away some local authority. So we're going to dive a little deeper, look into that, get back to you, and then we'll provide more recommendations on what our position should be on the bill. Generally, it's good, but maybe we may want to recommend an amendment in that space. There's also House Bill 348, authorizes the state to place speed cameras in priority corridors. I think there's broad support for that. House Bill 628, it's the state prioritizing funding for construction and reconstruction of sidewalks and bike paths adjacent to highways. I think we can all agree that's something that's been needed for a very long time in our community and others, so we support that one as well. Again, when I say support, as a collective, the body and staff. House Bill 709 is good cause eviction. It authorizes the county to enact good cause legislation that prohibits landlord from failing to renew a lease during the lease period or seeking to terminate a holdover tenancy without good cause. Clearly falls into council priority to provide affordable housing in our community, so we support that as well. Senate Bill 609 would prohibit landlords from using certain algorithmic devices to determine the amount of rent to charge a residential tenant. That is a challenge in the city of Rockville. We know that. Clearly, there's support for that. House Bill 801 establishes a pilot program through the Controller's Office to establish a statewide financial empowerment center network of centers that provide free financial counseling and coaching services. That clearly aligns with the direction that we receive from the council about doing everything we can to reduce poverty in the community. And lastly, House Bill 489 requires the Maryland Department of Labor to study and make recommendations for single staircase buildings. That one needs a little bit more research. We generally think this is a good idea, but we want to check with our building inspectors, fire department to make sure that we're not getting more than we bargained for. So that was a good meeting this morning. Got really good direction. Then the best news, if I can summarize this, is that the council's guiding principles and your priorities have great alignment thus far with the legislature's bills that have been dropping so far. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you and the policy team for looking at a lot of legislation that's coming out. I know it's a very busy season. Last term, I think there were 1,000, bills that made it through. And so that means there are many more that are in development. So we appreciate you representing the body and looking at the priorities and seeing how they align. So we really appreciate that. I did just want to note two quick things. One is thank you for the team for planning an excellent Lunar New Year celebration. I know there was a lot of hard work. It was a packed room. I want to thank my colleagues for representing us. And I did want to also acknowledge the summer camp work. That is a lot of work that the team pulls together. In addition to the camp programs, I believe the team is looking for teens who would like to work, who are 16 and up, or teens who would like to be a part of the Future Leaders program. So I definitely appreciate that. And I want to note for those who have just joined us that we, at 5:30, did do acknowledgements of Richard Montgomery's volleyball team and Wooten's track team, as well as acknowledging Rare Disease Day and Black History Month. Councilmember Shaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to note about the good cause or just cause eviction, that this is, currently there's a ban on jurisdictions creating their own good cause, just cause eviction. So what this bill does is lift it, but then it's up to the jurisdictions. Hopefully it'll pass this year and Rockville will go through with a just cause eviction law.
Thank you very much for the excellent report. We now move to agenda item 6, boards and commissions appointments and reappointments. We have a few Board of Appeals, Historic District Commission, and Transportation and Mobility Commission. Who would like to move forward with the Board of Appeals? Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. I am moved to reappoint Alan Frankel to the Board of Appeals to serve a full 3-year term until September 1st, 2027.
Do we have a second? Councilmember Fulton. Seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you. We now move the Historic District Commission nomination. Do we have a motion? Councilman Van Grack.
I move to the reappointment of Peter Fosselman to the Historic District Commission to serve a full 3-year term until February 1st, 2028.
Do we have a second? Councilmember Shaw seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it is unanimous. Next, we have a Transportation and Mobility Commission. Councilmember Valeri.
I move the reappointment of Kathleen Kleinman to the Transportation and Mobility Commission to serve a full 3-year term until February 1st, 2028.
Councilmember Fulton. Seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. It is unanimous. Thank you. We now move to community forum. It's a time for us to listen to the community. All persons, please address the mayor and council, and as usual, speak in a civil and courteous manner, address us, and be respectful to others. Each member will be allowed 3 minutes, and we ask that you stick to the time allowed. There is a time clock at the front. Please state your name and whether you live in the city of Rockville for the record. The mayor and council and city staff allocate time for meeting agenda items, providing each item with sufficient time based on average durations. And we really appreciate everyone coming today. And if anyone who has not signed up would like to speak after, please feel free to raise your hand. We'll begin with Mark Proshela.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Mark Proshela, 816 Fordham Street, and council member of the previously elected body. On the Town Center Master Plan, I support the vast majority of the now passed Town Center Master Plan. However, on page 47 of the plan, there is explicit support for a third MARC rail track through Rockville. And I quote from the Town Center Master Plan, "A study of the Brunswick line completed in 2023 calls for 2.3 miles of additional track between Rockville and Washington Grove, a portion of which was within the planning area. This plan is supportive of this third track should funding and feasibility analysis show it is possible." Well, end quote. I checked the boundary of Area 1, the town center area, through the city's planning area online map. You have to zoom, but you can see that the eastern boundary of Planning Area 1 is explicitly set east of the Metro tracks and west of the MARC/CSX tracks. I don't think this town center plan can legally call for a third MARC rail outside of Area 1. Additionally, I sent you an email on this last week. The study posits not only a third rail, but a possible turnback area at Rockville Metro. I wonder how much of this study was given to Lincoln Park and East Rockville Civic Associations. The mention of the third rail should come out of the Town Center Master Plan. I checked the 2040 Master Plan, and there the plan calls only for an increase of MARC service, not a third rail, which we did explicitly discuss. When I spoke to a resident of Lincoln Park last week about the third rail, she asked the pertinent question, where would it go? Exactly. But doubly so for a turnback area on the Rockville Metro. Maybe city staff can do some research. Additionally, Rockville has redevelopment areas abutting the CSX tracks to the east, the Rockville Metro Station itself, and in the North Stone Street area. The 2040 Master Plan and the zoning rewrite you're working on supports these developments. Now with the third rail support, you are on record in support of projects that conflict with each other. If a developer is working with WMATA on redevelopment of the Rockville Metro, for example, they're going to do their due diligence and find support for that third rail in a possible turnback area exactly where the project is supposed to go. You don't want that to happen. In the zoning discussion last week, Councilmember Van Grack wondered why only the West End area was getting a down zoning while the rest of the city was getting an up zoning. Look at the 2040 Master Plan. The West End got 30 pages, including elements down to the single address level. King Farm got 7 pages, Town Center got 10. The West End got special treatment, and I pointed this out. I also said that if any single neighborhood should get special attention, it should be either Town Center, everyone's neighborhood, or King Farm. The King Farm area is subject to many more challenges than any other part of the city, and that is not recognized in a 2040 Master Plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, welcome Jeffrey Gantz.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Jeff Gantz. I am a lifelong resident of the city of Rockville and currently live in the Montrose neighborhood, born and raised in Woodley Gardens. Thanks for allowing the opportunity to speak this evening, once again to voice my opposition to the proposed rezoning in Planning Area 10. Last week during this meeting, I listened in disbelief to what I can only describe as double talk from Mr. Wasilic. At one point, he characterized the Martha Terrace property as being pretty close to single-family homes, but then when talking about a property in Planning Area 4, he said the rationale for the zoning proposed there was due to the single-family homes to the west. Well, I can assure you that the property on Martha Terrace is no closer or farther to single-family homes than the one in Planning Area 4. I asked you to consider why the different word choices and different zoning proposals other than to fit Mr. Wasilik's desired narrative and outcome. You also heard from many community members last week about traffic issues in the Montrose neighborhood. Tonight, I'd like to offer some possible solutions. First, we've talked about increased enforcement of the stop sign at Rollins and Evelyn, as well as the no left turn from Montrose onto Evelyn. I would also suggest enforcement of the stop signs at Rollins and Congressional. In conjunction with this, maybe look at increasing the fines for failure to stop at a stop sign and illegal left turns. Second, better signage for the no left turn from Montrose onto Evelyn Drive. The way the sign is now, I've heard from some drivers they believe the sign is only meant for buses when in fact it is meant to allow buses to make the left turn. Third, I would like to suggest looking at adding a stop sign and crosswalk at Rollins Avenue and Rollins Court to stop the speedway between Congressional Lane and Evelyn Drive, and also allow for better pedestrian flow through the community. Also, regarding crosswalks, I would propose adding them throughout our community as they are basically non-existent or fading. Fourth, install a permanent speed camera on Rollins Avenue as opposed to the rotating camera that is currently used. Fifth, install a radar speed sign on Rollins Avenue between Congressional and Evelyn as a way to slow traffic. Sixth, install pedestrian islands on Rollins Avenue, one at Congressional Lane and one at Evelyn Drive. Seventh, install curbs extensions at different intervals along Rollins Avenue as a way to try and reduce speed. Lastly, and this one won't be popular, but it is put forth as a serious consideration, make Congressional Lane a one-way street between Rollins Avenue and East Jefferson Street. This would help stop a lot of cut-through traffic in the neighborhood coming from Rockville Pike to Montrose Road, as well as allow for better flow on Congressional Lane and even allow for possibly addition of bike lanes. In regards to the rezoning of the parcel that currently houses Congressional Towers and Rollins Park Apartments, is there a reason it is being looked at as an all-or-nothing situation? Would it be possible to consider a denser rezoning for the property that is on the north and west side of Congressional Lane and a lower density zoning for the property that is on the south and east side of Congressional Lane? I'd also like to point out when considering rezoning, you need to take into account other recommendations that are being made that will impact the Montrose community. For instance, the extension of East Jefferson Street to Wooten Parkway, as well as the proposed new streets between Rockville Pike and extended East Jefferson. There's also a project looking into adding bike lanes along East Jefferson, which will cause more traffic backups on East Jefferson and thus have drivers looking for alternate routes, such as cutting through the Montrose neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Welcome, Mr. Becker.
Sorry, folks, I apologize for taking a while to get up here.
All right.
First of all, John Becker, I live at 148 Monroe Street, which is across the street from the Rockville Metro Station. I want to pass along my support in former Councilmember Pershala's statement and the gentleman who just spoke. I can identify with what they both said. Just some brief things on the Vision Zero presentation tonight. And these are just observations. These are not criticisms. I've observed that in several locations where there's a crosswalk and a blinking light attached to it, don't know what the technical term is for it, but people don't stop. And there are people, especially when you're at West Edmonston and you're trying to cross from the residential development to the Food Lion and other places there at Wintergreen. Red light cameras, that might be something to consider, because on the way over from Americana Center, where I live, I observed at various intersections, people just don't stop for red lights. Sidewalk conditions, and this is something I'll comment further on and respond back to staff on this, but I mean, there are some certain areas where you have utility poles blocking the sidewalk, especially at the fire department, I believe, in Park Avenue. So that's something that has come up, and I think I should be addressed and included in further discussion. One other thing I wanted to point out is that the speed limits in the report are listed as have dropped as far as signage in the what the law says, but that does not correlate with reduction in speeds. So that's something else, which leads to my next issue here. On October 7th, I appeared before this body saying it's time to get some speed cameras on Rockville Pike, Veers Mill Road, and East Jefferson. I got a letter from an email from somebody on staff on October 11th that request was sent to, I think it's, forgive me, I don't have the actual document in front of me, DOT, Maryland DOT, and the SHA, and I'll forward it to everybody just to remember what happened. And I received something later on in the month in that the state, whichever office it was going to respond back in 90 days. 90 days was last month. And as the saying goes, sometimes government just never fails. It never fails to disappoint. So I would like your help and the staff's help to go ahead and push our friends in the state to move along a little bit on that. And I want to thank you very much for this impromptu appearance before you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak? Thank you to all community members who have spoken. I know my colleagues and I have been taking notes, and we'll work with staff on some of the follow-up. I'll now close community forum, and we'll move to a special presentation on our Vision Zero progress update. I know many comments relate to Vision Zero progress. I do want to note we are trying a format of a special presentation, which means that we are listening and getting updates from staff. We're not having a discussion at this point, but I will note that our mayor and council have submitted questions that appear in the agenda book from pages 86 through 96. Some of the comments I've heard this evening are included in there. You'll see responses to questions from Councilmember Jackson, Miles, Van Grack, and I know Councilmember Valerius will be posted later this week. Is that right?
They're already
Are they
posted.
posted? Okay, I don't see them yet, but okay, we'll double check on that. And then I've submitted some questions as well. I want to thank my colleagues for submitting questions in advance, and I believe some other colleagues have questions that have submitted, and those will be posted later. I welcome our staff, Brian Barnett-Woods, to present an update. This is a huge mayor and council priority and one of the first on Envisio, and I want to thank you for all the outstanding work the team is doing. I know you've been working in close collaboration with many volunteers, including from Transportation Mobility, the RPAC, which is our pedestrian group, and RBAC, our bicycle-focused advocacy group. Thank you. And I'd also say welcome, Mr. Ahmad Al-Shafei. I know it takes a team.
Good evening. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Brian Barnett-Woods, the city's Vision Zero coordinator and principal transportation planner. I'm accompanied here with Ahmad Al-Shafei, chief of the Traffic and Transportation Division, and I also see Craig Simino, director of Public Works, and Jim Woods, deputy director as well. I'm really excited to be here to discuss the city's progress on the Vision Zero action plan, our bikeway master plan, and our pedestrian master plan. So I thank you in advance for the time. I also thank you in advance for the questions that you provided. As they mentioned earlier, I think they're included now in the agenda book. So here's a quick agenda for tonight. We'll provide a brief background on the city's Vision Zero action plan, the pedestrian and bikeway master plans, our engagement process, and we'll spend most of the time discussing projects that are recently completed or kind of ongoing in the city. So Vision Zero. Vision Zero is a comprehensive transportation safety program for the city. It was adopted by the Mayor and Council in the summer of 2020. The name Vision Zero comes from kind of the plan's overarching goal, eliminate all serious injury and fatal crashes. So 0 fatal crashes, 0 serious injury crashes. This is a laudable goal and one we strive towards. Vision Zero is also multimodal. I may be the city's pedestrian and bicycle coordinator, but Vision Zero is for everyone. It's for people who are driving and people who are walking and people who are rolling and bicycling and taking transit and using micromobility for everyone that's in the city. The program is also multidisciplinary, which means it's not just Department of Public Works. We work with the Public Information Office. We work with the Rockville City Police Department, the Recreation and Parks Department. We also work with the county's Department of Transportation and the State Highway Administration as well. So it really is not just one agency trying to push something, but all of us working together toward this goal. Oh, oops. Our Vision Zero plan is broken down into 30 different action items, and they focus on various aspects of transportation safety. Engineering, that's kind of related to the design of the roadway, constructing sidewalks, updating standards, things like that. Enforcement is related to ensuring people follow the rules of the road. Education is about making sure that people understand how to travel safely. So does the public understand what a shero means? Do they know how to be mindful when driving at night? The last is policy, and this looks not only at specific transportation policies related to the city, but also working to make sure that transportation safety is considered by default. So is our sidewalk prioritization policy up to date? When city vehicles are purchased, do they have the latest safety features installed? So making sure that by default, we're thinking about safety in everything we do. This chart shows the serious injury and fatal crashes for all modes that occurred in Rockville since 2015. This data is from the Maryland State Police Department, the automated crash reporting system, and it's provided by Montgomery County. In 2024, there were 15 serious injury crashes and 1 fatal crash. 9 of these crashes, including the fatal crash, occurred on state-owned and maintained roadways. The fatal crash was also a pedestrian crash. If you look at the chart, there is a little dip for the years 2020 and 2021. I would note that this is when a lot of work-from-home policies were in place, and so the transportation trends are very different for those years than other parts of the time. So we're still continuing to work better, but we have more work to do. The pedestrian master plan. This was adopted by the Mayor and Council in 2023. Similar to the Vision Zero plan, it's composed of action items to direct our work program to make improvements in the pedestrian environment and make the walking and rolling experience better for everyone in the city. The action items in this plan kind of cover a broad variety of categories similar to our Vision Zero plan, but it's making sure that we're updating policies like is the city's complete streets policy update, sidewalk prioritization policy, how do we evaluate new sidewalks and how do we choose to construct those sidewalks, and looking at shared use paths and things like that. It also directs staff to develop a process for maintaining sidewalks and updating sidewalks so that they meet accessibility standards. There are also action items for updating the zoning ordinance to help make sure land use policy supports pedestrian travel. Some of the action items in this plan do overlap with the Vision Zero action plan, and so we work hard to make sure they happen. The next one is the Bikeway Master Plan. This is the oldest of the 3 plans that was adopted in 2017. We do anticipate updating this plan in the next couple of years. While this plan doesn't include action items, the way the Pedestrian Master Plan or the Vision Zero Action Plan does, it does include recommendations for different bicycle facility types. And so that's facilities like a bike lane or a shared roadway, shared use path, those types of things. It also includes kind of general policy recommendations for how we want to look at improving bicycling in the city. And these general recommendations are for, how do we increase the rate of bicycling overall? How do we better connect bicycling with environmental policy? How do we monitor bicycling? Those sorts of things. As a percentage, this plan is 27.26% done if we look at the recommended facilities and what we have constructed. Public engagement. I do want to take a moment to briefly mention the importance of public engagement. We work to welcome the suggestions and especially the insight from everyone in the community. So for everyone listening, please feel free to send me an email if you have any ideas or suggestions. When specific projects are happening, whether it's a sidewalk feasibility study or a bike lane project or a complete street study, we always make sure to have a project-specific meeting. And sometimes we'll go out into that community, and if it's looking at a sidewalk, we'll walk and roll that section of the sidewalk gap to get an idea and to help explain to the community, like, this is what we're thinking, what are your ideas and concerns, and how can we address those? We also provide regular updates to the Bicycle Advisory Committee, the Rockville Pedestrian Advocacy Committee, and the Transportation and Mobility Commission. These meetings are open to everyone, and they're held virtually. They're on the first Wednesday, second Thursday, and fourth Tuesday of the month, respectively. So please feel free to attend these meetings. We'd be happy to have more participation. Also, I'd be happy to go to the community and share details about the Vision Zero program. So if there's a civic association or a business group, please feel free to email me, and I'd be happy to go and attend one of your meetings to talk about Vision Zero. And if residents are in communities where they may not have a formal civic association, still they can reach out to me and we can work about how we can set up some sort of meeting with their neighbors. And we did something similar to that last year for town center residents. Lastly, we do a lot of work with the Public Engagement Office. There are regular articles in Rockville Reports. They also have lots of great posts on social media. So feel free to reach out to us that way as well. So this is the project map. This map shows Vision Zero projects, and it's kind of a cumulative map, so we just add to it as more projects come up. Using the city's crash analysis and sidewalk prioritization policy, Public Works staff identifies projects to address areas that have a history of more injury crashes, serious injury crashes, fatal crashes, than areas with fewer injury crashes or only property damage crashes. Many of the projects advanced over the past few years are for sidewalk feasibility study, design, or implementation. Staff continues to follow the sidewalk prioritization policy and past guidance to prioritize sidewalk gaps that are along streets that don't have sidewalks on both sides. And so if a street has the sidewalk on one side but not the other, we would look at streets that are missing both sidewalks first. Lastly, many of the grant-funded programs have application criteria that include benefiting neighborhoods in equity emphasis areas, census tracts designated as historically disadvantaged, or in designated regional activity centers. These areas tend to be on the east side of Rockville, surrounding metro stations, or in the town center area. We can look at this map to see where we've added leading pedestrian intervals. That's when you have a little extra time to cross the street. Those are the gray dots on this map. We do intersection audits, and those are the green, yellow, and orange dots. The orange ones are ones that are initiated, and they're part of our upcoming Safe Streets and Roads for All project. They're mostly along state roadways. Yellow ones are ones that we've asked the state to look into, and they're kind of ongoing. And green ones are ones that we've done, and either the improvements have already been implemented or we're in the process of implementing those. Red dots are traffic calming improvements that were raised by residents, and we've carried out already or we're planning to carry out this year. The blue lines are speed reductions where we've reduced the speed limit. And then the pink lines are the sidewalk where we're doing the sidewalk studies and construction. The map and I guess the legend for the map are included as an attachment in the agenda item. All right, so sidewalks. We've created kind of a process where we will look at all the sidewalk gaps and we evaluate gaps 1 year, ones that are feasible, we do the design for, and then we move on to kind of final design and then construction. The Group 1 sidewalks, we've finished those studies, and so we're now moving into implementation, so finalizing that design as well as the construction. The picture here is from Monroe Street. It was one of the first segments we studied, and it was constructed last November, I think, maybe last October. Group 2 sidewalks, these were ones that we studied in this kind of sidewalk study program last year, and we're moving these segments on to design. We also have other efforts. Excuse me, wrong slide. The Group 3 sidewalks, these are the ones we're going to start the feasibility study for this year. There are these 5 sidewalks here. We've shared this with RPAC, or the Rockville Pedestrian Advocacy Committee, to get their feedback. And we'll also share this with the Transportation and Mobility Commission. We also have other efforts for building sidewalks. We just finished studying 7 gaps in the Twin Brook area. We are moving forward with 5 of them. The top 3 on this list we are including in the design to begin design this year. And then the second 2 we'll look into doing design in a future fiscal year. Additionally, we have the Potomac Valley Sidewalk, which started as a grant project, and that's at 100% design. And then Virginia Avenue, this was a segment that was requested and petitioned by residents. And so we made sure to try and get this done. We're going to see about doing construction this year. So there are different avenues for building sidewalks. And if residents are curious about adding a sidewalk to their street, on the city's website, there's a petition process and information about it, or they can always reach out to us, and I'd be happy to kind of walk them through the process. So intersection safety audits. This is a program that's similar to the way that we do sidewalks. We try to evaluate intersections, and then afterwards we try and make those feasible improvements. The first round, we've completed the study and completed the improvements. You can see in the picture here, this is Wooten Parkway and Fleet Street, where there was a really problematic left turn, and so we stopped, prevented making that left turn happening by adding the signage here. The second round, we've completed doing the studies, and the improvements are ongoing. We also have other ways of studying intersections, not just this intersection study program through Vision Zero. The Twin Brook project, where we also looked at sidewalks, we looked at intersections as well, and we looked at 8 intersections, and we're moving forward with improvements on 3 of those intersections. We also have projects where we've done studies. So on Manakee Street, we did a complete street study, and there's some improvements that are happening in a couple intersections there. Residents have requested improvements at Twinbrook Parkway and Meadow Hall Drive, which we'll talk a little bit later, as well as Edmonston Drive and Crawford Drive. And then Monroe Street and Cabin John Parkway, this was an intersection improvement request that we received from Montgomery County Public Schools because that intersection's on the route to the elementary school nearby. So I had mentioned Safe Streets and Roads for All. This is a federal grant award that we received, and the project is to study 30 intersections in the city. 10 of them are on city-maintained roadways, and 20 of them are on state-maintained roadways. And that's kind of a big deal because we want to make sure that the state understands what needs to happen to improve those intersections, and then what we can do to help the state kind of carry those things out moving forward. We've completed the grant agreement with Federal Highways, and we're currently working on scoping this project out. During our last meeting, we mentioned that we have new crosswalk guidelines, or we were imminently going to have new crosswalk guidelines. Those have since been completed, and we've started to use them. Here are some new crosswalks on this list here that have been added using these new guidelines, and they'll be installed soon. I would point out that a couple of these on this list we had looked at before the new guidelines, and they didn't meet the criteria. But the new crosswalk guidelines have a more flexible criteria for when we can install crosswalks. And so I think it's really going to make a positive step toward building more crosswalks in the city. And I'm happy that we've adopted these and we've started to use them. We're also moving forward on some bike lane projects. Martin's Lane, we looked at the study and did design last year. And so there's going to be a combination of a bike lane and a shared roadway in between Manakee Street and North Washington Street. And this will provide some traffic calming efforts, but it will also help increase access to the Rockville Swim and Fitness Center, as well as the bikeway network that's on North Washington Street with the separated bike lanes. Additionally, we looked at Manakee Street as part of this Complete Streets project, and we're proposing to do a combination of traffic calming and shared roadways on Manakee Street in the residential area, and then bicycle lanes near the college and Hungerford Drive or Maryland 355. Bike projects aren't just bike lanes. There's a lot that goes into making a good bicycle environment. Looking at parking racks, not only installing parking racks through our bike rack grant program. So if there are any interested property owners, they can reach out to the city and we can help install 2 short-term bike racks for their property. But we're also looking at installing bike corrals, which are several bike racks that take up the space of 1 on-street parking space and help get scooters off the sidewalk, help get e-bikes off the sidewalk, but also help find and provide more parking for places where it's needed most. Additionally, we're looking at fix-it racks. A fix-it rack is a rack that is usually next to a trail, and you can put your bike on it, and it's got tools attached to it so you can make minor repairs. So if you need to adjust your seat or change a tire or something like that, it has tools right there for you. We installed one of these on the Carl Henn Millennium Trail behind the Thomas Farm Community Center a couple of years ago as kind of a pilot. And it's got pretty well reception. The Rockville Bicycle Advisory Committee has pointed out that it's pretty great and they want to see more of them. And so we've been looking at where to place new ones. We're creating the process of finding out the cost of procuring and then also installing them. And then we'll kind of finalize locations, not only with the Rockville Bicycle Advisory Committee, but also our Recreation and Parks Department. Lastly, we've installed several counters throughout the city. You can see the below picture is one of the counters. These keep track of pedestrians and bicyclists who cross certain points on our sidewalks and trails 24 hours a day. They're pretty neat. They provide kind of a real-time viewpoint into pedestrian and bicycle activity, not only at that specific top, but throughout the year. So we can really see across the year whether we're seeing more active transportation in the springtime or if we're seeing it more in the summer, if there's a rush hour period for active transportation. So I'm really looking forward to not only seeing the data we've already gotten, but kind of getting more data to help support kind of whether it's economic development or whether we want to support other bikeway or pedestrian projects in the city. All right, bike share. So last year we were awarded funds to purchase bike share stations in the Twinbrook community. We're currently working with the county now to finalize how that agreement would work, because the county has the agreement with the vendor for capital bike share, and so we would need to purchase it through their agreements, but also making sure that maintenance and operations are covered as well. And so we're kind of looking at that right now. We're coordinating with them. Once that's kind of settled, we'll figure out where we want to put these. We have staff currently looking at best practices for locating bike share stations. And so we want to come up with some proposed locations, share that with the community and the Bicycle Advisory Committee, and then see where we can install these. So I think that'll be great. Traffic calming measures. So traffic calming is the process by changing roadways to help motorists drive at the posted speed limit or below the posted speed limit. We have some upcoming projects. I mentioned earlier Manakee Street and Smallwood Road, Manakee Street and Carr Avenue, adding some traffic calming. Also, we have some resident-initiated projects of adding I guess it would be a pedestrian refuge line, kind of like in the top picture, at Twinbrook Parkway and Meadow Hall Drive, and then also Edmonston Drive and Crawford Drive. And then just kind of an example, one that traffic calming we added as a result of one of our intersection audits is the one that's in the picture, Edmonston Drive and Lewis Avenue. So I think these improvements are small, and they kind of are just small points, but overall, and we think about the network and the corridor, they really do make a difference to help improve roadway safety for everyone that's using the streets. You drive slower, you drive safer, there's more opportunities to cross. So it's really a win-win for the city. Some other ongoing projects, we have a bicycle facility study and design project on Halpine Road and East Jefferson Street. This will look at adding bicycle facilities to East Jefferson Street between Rollins Avenue and Congressional Lane, and then along Halpine Road between East Jefferson Street and Rockville Pike, or Maryland 355. There is a public meeting set for this for April 30th. It's on the city's online calendar, but also everyone should attend. We welcome comments and suggestions from everyone. We have a similar project on Congressional Lane. This is going to look at multimodal improvements on Congressional Lane between Rockville Pike and Rollins Avenue. And what we really want to try with this study is to figure out what improvements can be made to make this easier and safer for people who are driving or walking or rolling or riding a bike or taking transit. And we do kind of recognize that the character of Congressional Lane changes, whether you're east to west of East Jefferson Street, and so we want to make sure we take that into account as well. There will also be a virtual public meeting for this project as well on March 27th, and it's also on the city's online calendar. Beale Avenue, I wanted to share a little bit about Beale Avenue because we got these great photos, but I also think it's a really great project and innovative in terms of how we want to move forward with transportation safety. Beale Avenue has buffered and separated bicycle lanes, new parking and loading areas, a bus platform, and this space for the asphalt art. And I think it turned out really well. And so I think this is the kind of thing that I'm glad that we had an opportunity to do, and I think it really highlights Rockville as somewhere where they're taking transportation safety seriously. This image here is the crosswalk is the one that's at Gibbs Street, so Gibbs and Beale. Here's another one. I just think it looks nice, so I just wanted to share this with everyone. I think the bike lanes and the bike box and the artwork really make it stand out. Yeah, the before picture is the one that's on the left. We have regularly quarterly meetings with the state, Maryland Department of Transportation, State Highway Administration. I also want to point out that the county, they have a staff person who also attends these meetings. And it's to discuss transportation projects. What are things that they're working on that may impact the county, but also what are things that we would like to see the state take on and say like, hey, we've gotten a lot of requests about this street. What can you do to look into this? The state recently approved to lower the speed limit on Maryland 28 between Baltimore Road and Veers Mill. We had requested the state look into this, I want to say 2 years ago, and they had turned down that, they rejected that request. We asked them to look at it again, and they did approve it in December. So we were very happy to see that they've changed their opinion on the matter. The new signs aren't up yet. They should be up by the end of March. But we're happy that they've made this change. The picture here, this is on Veers Mill Road, where they also reduced the speed limit after we requested it last year. And so you can see the speed limit sign with the new placard. The last project that I want to talk about is the pedestrian and bicycle bridge over the rail tracks in the Twin Brook neighborhood. This project is part of the Neighborhood Access and Equity Program, which is part of the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods program. So it was a federal grant program that we were awarded last year. With this project, we are going to look at 4 possible crossing locations and speak with the community and learn from the community about what their concerns are with each of those locations, as well as learn kind of the costs associated with actually constructing each of those locations and the benefit that a crossing would have at that point. Similar to our Safe Streets and Roads for All project, the agreement has been completed, and we're now in the process where we're working to prepare a scope that we'll use to procure a consultant for this. With that, I would like to thank you all for your time. As mentioned earlier, and thank you again for your questions, we've included those in the agenda packet, and we look forward to building a safer Rockville. So thank you.
I almost want to clap, but
Can we clap?
yeah, we can clap. Just want to say thank you to the entire team. I know I've been a part of some of the community meetings that you all have had when residents are sharing feedback, and I know that there are several of the progress improvements that either came from one of our volunteer organizations or from this body that I've seen you've incorporated and made some changes. So thank you very much for helping to make Rockville safer. I hope to see the crashes and fatalities going down. That's ultimately our goal. I do recognize that a lot has to do with coordination with other jurisdictions as well. So we just want to thank you because I know several of the questions relate to that. And thank you to all our volunteers. Thank you to my colleagues and everyone moving forward to make this a safer place. So I really appreciate this update. I know I speak on behalf of the entire body when I say great job. And you know what happens when you do such a great job? We ask for more. But I will say a lot of those are documented in the questions that we've asked. And again, pages 86 through 96 in the brief book do have some of the responses, some of the things we've heard from community forum. Those questions are answered in there as well. So keep up the good work, and we really appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you very much.
We now have consent agenda item 9A, adoption of a resolution to authorize an execution of certain employee separation and release agreements. I want to see if my colleagues are willing to make a motion. Councilmember Shaw.
I move to approve consent agenda item A.
Councilmember Valeri seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. And thank you to Mr. Mihalich for answering all of our questions. We appreciate it. All right, so now we'll move to our mock agenda. I know that we had an LPT meeting this morning. Does anyone have anything else to add or questions about next week's meeting? I will note that the comp in class, which was previous on the 6-month calendar, is not on next week and will be moved to another date. So if anyone is tracking that, I wanted to flag that. All right. Now we'll move to old new business. Does anyone have any questions or anything to add? Okay. Councilmember Valeri.
Yes, I guess my question is in the going forward on special presentations and the Q&A that we send in. I noticed upon cursory scan that, of course, many of us ask the same questions, but I noticed slight differences in the answers. So might need to work a little bit of the kinks out in this process. I would also then state as well that I know that it's part of our agenda packet, but it may be also helpful, in addition to that, to have just specifically the Q&A maybe have it hosted on the website somewhere. I think it's very helpful for residents, especially around issues like Vision Zero, where we have been getting feedback, and we want folks to know that we have heard them and move that along. So those are my initial thoughts on that, and I reserve the rest of those comments and maybe some solutions for future meetings.
Thank you. Just to add to that, we do have a really nice Vision Zero page. I believe tonight's presentation will be posted on that Vision Zero page. And to my colleague's point, I would be totally supportive of including the Q&A on there as well.
I don't see why that wouldn't be a problem. Thanks.
Okay. You guys agree? Okay. All right. Thank you. I have one piece. I just wanted to acknowledge that there are several federal workers who are worried this week. And we've gotten a couple of inquiries. I know that the Rockville Economic Development, Inc. is going to be coming next week. I know that they have seen the last several years ago where they had an increase in federal workers who were working to start their own businesses. So I just wanted to note, if you are interested in learning more about Rockville Economic Development, Inc., please tune in next week on February 10th. They offer free technical assistance, especially supporting also the Maryland Women's Business Center, which is open to women, men, and any gender identity. So please tune in, and I look forward to having more of a discussion on there, but I just wanted to acknowledge what people are feeling this week and know that we have some conversations and resources to help. Okay. Anything else? Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to lighten the mood just a little bit, I would be remiss not to congratulate our fellow Councilmember Van Grack, who took the polar bear plunge last Friday, along with our police department. The acting chief, West, he couldn't make it to the Chesapeake to do the polar bear plunge, so they brought the Chesapeake to him. So you can watch it, a little video on social media that the police department did. It's really funny, really good, and they raised a lot of money. So congratulations to Van Grack and to the police department for a job well done.
Thank you so much for raising that. I will note that just if you want to add some contextual experiential experience, but they were taking donations on Polar Plunge. The page is active. I know I've donated to our officers, but it supports the Special Olympics. So I just wanted to flag that. And I know that they've posted around that on social. I want to congratulate our police department. I had a family wedding, so I could not join, but I am up, and I encourage all my colleagues to join next year. And thank you, Councilman Van Grack, for joining. Did you want to say a few
Yeah, I was
words?
just going to say the same thing, that the police plunge raised over $325,000 for Special Olympics. And I know that the police department and many up here on the dais and in the community helped to support that. The link is still active. If you go to Polar Plunge, you can even just search Rockville Police Department Polar Plunge. It'll take you to the webpage, and you can still support it. They're accepting donations, I know, for the next couple of weeks. And if that does close, you can still go to Special Olympics Maryland. They have their own site, and it's still going to the same cause.
Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Councilmember Van Grack.
I move to adjourn, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Valeri, seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.